and welcome to my 2018 garden fails video. This first clip is of my peas, which was a big fail this year, and I've never actually grown peas before because I don't really like them, and I probably won't be growing them again, but they got infested with these pea weevils. I never did see the adult pea weevils on the plant, but they were apparently there. I did see signs of them on the pea pods themselves. They lay their eggs like on the surface of the pea pod, and then as they mature, they work their way inside the pod and into the seed. So I did find that when I harvested the dried pea seeds, that almost all of them had holes, like a perfect circular hole on the pea itself. And you can see this guy coming out of this pea here, and they were just all over the house because I didn't realize they were coming out of the peas, and I had them sitting on the counter. And so, yeah, so I wasn't able to save any pea seeds because they all had pea damage from the pea weevil. So I'm going to be not growing those again. The walla onions were a bit of a fail this year. I'm glad I like to plant multiple varieties because this one didn't do well. They should be a good size onion like this. This was the biggest one that grew, but that's the only one that got that size. The rest of them were pretty small like this. And quite a few of them also flowered, which shouldn't happen in the first year. So I'm not too happy with how those turned out. For the peppers, I would say the white Thai was probably a little bit of a fail. It did produce some peppers, which is good, but look how tiny that is. It is super small. It's like maybe a foot, not even a foot tall, compared to all these other peppers. They're just monsters compared to how small this guy is. You can see how teeny it is. So I might try a different white Thai. I know there's a few different versions of it out there. I think Kang Star's white Thai maybe I'll try next year. These are 2 yellow tomatillos, and they just did horribly this year. I cut them back quite a bit here a few weeks ago, but I only harvested a handful of tomatillos off of these. The leaves have been pretty yellow all year. The one on the left is a little bit more green, but not by much. So some of the problems we've had, some of them have had the tomatillo grow outside of the husk, and then the majority of them, let me see, this one they've been splitting. The bottoms are split before they're ripe. So we've got that one there, and this one here also has done the same thing. But that's what the biggest problem was with these, is just splitting on the bottom. I don't think they've had too much water, so I'm not sure what's causing that. So I won't be growing this variety probably ever again. I'm going to go back to the green varieties, but I want to try a purple one too. I have another tomatillo fail to show you. This is a regular green tomatillo, and I don't know if I could call it a fail because it's actually a volunteer. It volunteered up in one of our apple tree beds, and we cut out the apple tree, so we had to move this. So it was doing awesome where it was under the apple tree, but after I moved it over here, kind of closer to the other tomatillos, it just kind of started sagging. It's not completely dead. I don't know that we're going to get any fruits off of it though. They're still pretty small, and it's just kind of sagging a lot. I did trim it back quite a bit after I planted it because it was looking so bad, but it's not looking much better, so I don't know if we'll get any tomatillos off of it. The Blue Beauty tomato was my big tomato fail this year. I don't know what happened, but a lot of the leaves just kind of dried up, and a lot of the flowers dried up and just didn't produce any fruit. There is a little bit of fruit on there, but they're really small. There's that one there. And then there's a few here in the middle, but they're not healthy looking fruits. There's no blossom end rot, but they're just a lot of cracking and just very small. Not really what they're supposed to look like. But I might try again with a different seed source maybe. But I did like the Black Beauty, and the Black Beauty did really well for me, but The Blue Beauty, not so much. This is the Roselle red tie hibiscus, and this is the first time I've tried growing this, but you use these buds after the flowers drop for teas and things. So that's why I grew this one. I started it early, like everybody said, back in, I think, January maybe. But and it grew really fast at first, but once I put it outside, it just kind of stopped growing, and a lot of the leaves just kind of fell off. So there's not too many leaves left on it. It did get some flowers though, which is good. So I did harvest a few, but I think it's supposed to get a lot bigger and more leafy than that. I have another one over here that's doing a little bit better. It's kind of shaded out by the summer squash here, but it's got some pretty decent sized, I don't know if you call them rose hips on them, but actually not too bad. So it's got two kind of main stems, not as bad looking as the other one, but I think it should look a little better than that. I might try it again in a different spot. This soil isn't the best. I'll try maybe in the raised bed next year. And lastly, we have the fennel. This was a bulbing variety that actually grew really, really well. I left 2 of them in the ground because I wanted to save the seeds from it. And the seeds are starting to form, but it's the end of the season and we're getting some colder weather and the rains are starting up this week. So I don't think it's going to have time to dry out. The seeds, I don't know if they're actually formed enough to harvest now and let dry inside. I'll give it a try, but I'm not getting my hopes up. So that's it for the garden fails for this year. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.